It's the Monday Night Results Show. Just the results, and nothing but the results. From this past weekend's race at your favorite racetracks, if you're looking for a lot of happy talk and fluff, tune into the Disney Channel. And now, the man with a mind for statistics. Unfortunately, those statistics are usually odds on the ponies in Vegas. Mitch, the Dr. Walker.
All right, welcome back. It's the Monday Night Results Show after a brief hiatus. And contrary to popular belief, yes, I am still alive. And no, we have not went anywhere. Racetracks may close, but the Monday Night Results Show lives on. All right, we have got a bang-up show tonight. But first, let's kick it off like we always do with our Pledge of Allegiance. Joining me tonight to do our Pledge of Allegiance, the birthday girl, my daughter. She turns 13 today, and she is going to do our Pledge of Allegiance. So, Kennedy, it's all yours.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Happy birthday, kiddo, and have a good one. All right, now, let's rock and roll and let's get a show started. First off, right off the rip, we want to keep Chris Madden, dirt track driver, super late model driver, in your prayers. He has took a hard hit Saturday night up at Smoky Mountain. They took him to the hospital. He was released, no broken bones, but he does have a severe concussion. Tonight's show is going to be dedicated to track safety and some of the things that we have discussed in the past with Charlie Floyd, other issues that we have addressed. We're going to be talking about some left coast tracks tonight and some of the things that they have done or haven't done. And I want to let you know that Austin Manzella is going to be our guest tonight. He took a wild ride and done some pretty amazing driving of the water truck after his ordeal. The video is on the show page if you want to check it out, of his race car burning to the ground. And we're going to be talking about that. Got some good news about safety teams. There is a new safety, well, not a new one, but another safety team that we are going to be talking with. We're going to be getting them on the show real soon. I just spoke with Jake Steele, is the young man's name, with Kalamazoo Speedway up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're going to be getting him on in the very, very near future, hopefully next week. And we'll be talking about some track safety and some of the things that they do. They're much like the Track Pro safety team with my buddy Gary McCullough and all his bunch. It's a great thing to know that there are more of them out there. We are constantly looking for them and trying to give them a little bit of credit and recognition for what they do. Also, on the West Coast, out there in the lovely state of California, we have a new listener tonight. I want to welcome her, Laura Householder. She has been, me and her brainstormed quite a while last night and come up with some ideas about some things that need to be addressed. And we're going to be talking about some of those a little bit later on in the show. She is one of the few people I've met that is as passionate about this safety as I am. And want to welcome her and hope that she will continue to listen as I jump up on my soapbox and rant on a regular basis. Also, happy anniversary to Gene and Karen Norman. They were the promoters over at Arkadelphia Speedway a couple of years ago. Now they're kind of enjoying the dirt life, doing some racing. Gene's racing. Sam Norman, their son, he is racing. And it's good to celebrate an anniversary. We're going to step out, take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a sad day in racing. So don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Media sales professionals with agency experience. If you're frustrated with your current position, unrealistic quotas, and inept management, if you're a sales machine and you simply will not take no as an acceptable reply, if you're looking for a rapidly growing company with unlimited sales potential for commissions in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're searching for a high-tech, forward-looking, laid-back, but extremely professional organization who appreciate your skills and dedication, we have your next opportunity. Scorpion Radio Group is building a sales team of self-starters who are motivated. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444 or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. That's 717-749-0444 and ask for Sue.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
Results? We got your results right here. It's the Monday Night Results Show with the doctor exclusively on the PerformanceMotorsportsNetwork.com.
All right, welcome back. You know, usually, as first of the show, when we lose a racer, we like to pay tribute. Yesterday, we lost a legend. Anyone in the southeastern United States, all up and down the East Coast, knew the name of Carlton Pugh. Carlton was 80 years old, and he passed away yesterday at his home in Alta Vista, Virginia. He is survived by his wife, Laura, his son, Larry Wayne Pugh, and his wife, Teresa, 3 daughters, Lisa and her husband, Stuart Moon, Cindy and her husband, Steve Simpson, Regina and her husband, Lynn Powers, grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren. 62 years Carlton raced. He was a member of the Virginia and Carolina Racing Association. Celebration of Life will be held 2 o'clock Wednesday, July the 13th at Finch and Finch Chapel in Alta Vista. Reverend Mike Allen and Reverend Brady Wilson, with burial to follow and full military honors provided by the American Legion Alta Vista Memorial Post 36 and Gretna Post 232. Keep Carlton's family in your prayers. Great man, gone. All right. As we mentioned in the first half of the show, the first part of the show, there have been some issues. And we have been working to address these issues for, I would say going close to 6 years. And it is a ongoing battle, day in and day out, to keep the safety standards at racetracks as high as it needs to be. All over the country, you see racetracks trying to cut costs. Some of these racetracks are cutting costs so that their profits increase. Some of these racetracks are cutting costs just to survive. And I understand that. I understand that running a racetrack is an expensive hobby. It's a business for some, it's a hobby for others. But it's expensive nonetheless. But when you start cutting safety personnel, safety crews, crash crews, if you will, and replacing trained and certified people with Joe Blow to Ragman on a four-wheeler and a fire extinguisher, something's bad wrong. Race cars are inherently dangerous. We all know that. We all accept that when we strap on our helmets and we crawl in. We understand the risk and the dangers. With most of us, I say most because there are some idiots out there who refuse. Most of us take every precaution possible to protect ourselves with personal protection equipment, fire suits. Some drivers have even went to as far as installing onboard fire systems, having the best safety equipment that you can muster. Some of these guys just don't get it. They'll go buy them a 1995 helmet. They'll get them a $69.95 fire suit because that is what the track says is the minimum. They get the bare minimum. And they stick that brain, what little they have, in that bucket, and they go out there and they go racing. If you say something to them, oh, well, I can't afford nothing better. Well, then park your ass in the pits and don't race. It's hard and it's cold, but drivers are not going to police themselves. This has been proven over and over and over. If you don't believe it, why the hell do you think racetracks have rule books? Racetracks need to take control of this. Racetracks need to stand up, put the proper safety equipment, the proper safety personnel in place to protect the drivers. Talked with a young man yesterday, Jason Steele, I believe was his name, with Kalamazoo safety team. He does exactly the same thing that my buddy Gary McCullough and the Track Pro safety team do. From the time the first race car rolls on the racetrack, his men and his crew are suited up. 7 layers of Nomex, 7 layers of fire retardant material, helmets, head socks, balaclava, gloves. They stand there at the ready to come save you if something happens to your race car. There was a video posted last weekend from Duck River. Young man took a wild ride, 4 or 5 flips. From the time the car came to a stop, 8 seconds later, Track Pro safety team was putting their hands on their driver. 8 seconds. Think about that. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008. Boom. Before the cobwebs are even shook out of the driver's head, before his eyeballs quit twitching, Track Pro safety team was on hand making sure that the scene was safe, that there were no chances of fire. And they then, once they made sure that the scene was safe, then they proceeded to work on extracting the driver. What a lot of these people don't understand, they go get fire departments to come train their safety personnel. That's fine and good as far as training for fire. That's fine and good as far as training for how to put out fires. But when it comes to extracting a driver out of a race car is not something that your fire department knows how to do. That is when you need seriously trained personnel. You need people who know what they're doing, who know how to take the proper precautions in getting a driver out and getting them out safely without doing any further damage. Now, in order to do that, first you've got to have those personnel at the track. You've got to have those people in place, trained, and ready to roll. Bakersfield Speedway, Saturday night, where our guest, who's going to be on in just a little bit, Austin Manzella, he came in. The video shows him and the other guy racing for first place. They're battling tooth and nail, hammer and tongs. Something happens. The leader spins. Boom. Austin slides into him. The rear T-bar of his car punctured the fuel cell of the other car. Fire ensues. Both drivers get out. They're safe. They're good. The fire is still burning. There is no one on hand to put out the fire. Austin jumps in, gets out of his race car, runs across the infield, jumps in the water truck that they used to water the racetrack with, drives it over to his race car to try to put it out because everybody else is standing around there with their thumb in their ear, and the water truck is empty. Here this man is standing there watching $20,000 go up in smoke because a racetrack didn't have the proper equipment on hand to take care of the problem. Their response, the action that they took, they called 911. Well, when the boys' race car is a smoldering heap of bent and twisted metal, the fire department comes rolling in the back gate. By the time they get there, all that's left to put out is a tire fire because that rubber off those tires burns forever. The seat was melted. All the decking, the body, melted. The frame, wasted. The motor, wasted. All of it, gone. Why? Because the racetrack was too damn cheap to provide the proper safety equipment. Phone calls have been made. Insurance companies have been made aware of things. There is no excuse for that. I am checking to see what the regulations are as far as holding a sporting event in Southern California. But last time I looked, that wasn't even close to it. I ain't done yet. I'm still standing on my soapbox, but we're going to step out and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'll keep going. So don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that help me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Racing is all about winning. But hey, the second place guy has family too, getting you all the results from your favorite racetracks. Now back to the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor.
All right, welcome back. You know, it has been a wide open thing for me. I have been up in arms about this for 2 days. It ticks me off that racetracks, and you know, 5 years ago, this wouldn't have bothered me. Really and truly. I mean, it's cold to say that, but 5 years ago, it wouldn't have bothered me a bit. But the past 5 years, I've been working for a racetrack. I see what goes on behind the scenes. I know what it takes to put a racetrack together. I know what it takes to swing the gates open at a racetrack. It's not cheap and it's not easy. How many hot dogs do you buy for a night of racing? Anybody know? I bet nobody can tell me. That's one of the things a promoter has to think about. How many bags of ice are you going to need? How many personnel are you going to need to run the racetrack? What happens if 2 or 3 don't show up? What happens if the lights goes out during the night? What happens if the PA blows up? There are so many things that a promoter has to deal with. You couldn't give me that job for all the tea in China. But any promoter anywhere in the world who does not start his list off with a safety team and safety equipment for his drivers, crews, safety person or track personnel and officials, if he don't take care of them first with safety equipment, there ain't no need in making the rest of the list. You just fold it up, hand the keys back to somebody else because you have no business running a damn racetrack. And as long as racers keep being the pig-headed fools that we are, and yes, I said we, racers will race in a damn pasture if you put up enough safety cones and then come out with a checkered flag and a green flag. They don't care. They want to race. Somebody has to watch over the nuts in the asylum. And that's what a promoter's job is, whether he realizes it or not. It's his job to give the racers a safe place to race. No, he cannot buy every driver a fire extinguisher. He can't buy every driver a fire suit or brand new seat belts, but he can check them. He needs to. Quit standing there collecting money at the gate and start taking some kind of action. A couple of months ago, we lost Charlie Floyd. Why? Because a bunch of dumbasses stood there and watched the man burn to death. Saturday night, our guest that's coming on, if he hadn't have been able to get out of his race car on his own, he would have burned to death. Why? Because there was nobody there to protect him. There was nobody there to pull him out. All the racers that raced there that night that knew that, yeah, they ought to have a good swift kick in the seat of their pants too. I understand everybody wants to race. But you got to draw the line somewhere. There's been too many accidents, too many people hurt at racetracks that were ill-equipped. Jamie Sullivan, we had her on a couple of months ago. Young lady down in Florida, down there, Putnam County Speedway. Spoke with Putnam County after the show, after I called them out on the show. Their race director promised me all these sweeping changes. Ain't a damn thing changed down there, not one bit. They're still doing it exactly the same way they've always done it. Let's just get by. Let's just swing the gates. Maybe the people will come, maybe they won't. We'll get out there and we'll try to put on a show and we'll get a few fans in and sell a couple of hot dogs and maybe we'll make gas money for the week. If that's the reason that you're running a racetrack, you should be ashamed of yourself. Anybody who would open the gates to a racetrack, any racetrack, I don't care whether it's Rocky Hill, I don't care whether it's up there in Merced, I don't care if it's Ascot, I don't care if it's San Diego, Chula Vista, I don't care where it's at. If you open a racetrack and you don't have safety personnel in place, you are an idiot. How are you going to look at yourself in the mirror the next morning after a driver dies at your racetrack because you were not prepared? Yeah, some people may say, Doc, you coming off a little hard on these people. Well, somebody needs to. There's too much slack. There's nobody picking up the loose ends. And when somebody like Laura Householder does, they ban her off social media. They block her out. We don't have to listen to her. Our problems just went away. Well, the hearing about it might have went away, but the problem is still there. These people, like Laura Householder, she don't bash these tracks because she don't like the promoter. She don't bash the track because she got protested there. She don't even race. She's a photographer. She don't bash the tracks because she don't like them. It's not a personal vendetta. She says something. She brings things to attention because it's issues that need to be addressed. And it's not just in California. I'm talking about Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. It don't matter. Anywhere there's a racetrack, there needs to be safety people. And if I hear about a racetrack that does not have safety personnel on hand, I promise you, the next show, I will call you out. I will let people know what you're doing. Bakersfield Speedway, I sent them a message yesterday asking them to respond before I went on the air. Never got one word out of them. And the thing is, when you send somebody a message on Facebook, you get that little thing that says they usually respond within the hour. Well, I sent it yesterday afternoon. Here it is Monday afternoon. That's over 24 of those little hours. They haven't responded. Apparently, they chose not to. So, to all the racers in California, if I was you, I would boycott Bakersfield Speedway until they put safety plans in effect, until they have personnel and equipment on hand to deal with it. There is no reason why this is happening in today's world. Greed, is that what it is? Stupidity? Is that what it is? Somebody tell me what it is that makes these promoters want to cut safety teams first. Why is it safety teams that are always cut first? Talladega Short Track, they were known for that. They didn't even have an ambulance on site. Said Gary McCullough and Track Pro were too expensive at $350 a night. Do you have drivers that are worth more than $350? I mean, think about it. $350 to protect your drivers and have the best safety team in the Southeast right there on hand, and you don't want to pay that money. That right there is straight up saying, I don't care about my drivers. As long as you're coming to my racetrack making me money, I don't care about you. I don't care if you get hurt. I don't care if you die. I don't care if your car burns to the ground. Because I'm still making my money. And that's the thing that just burns my butt. I think more racetracks should be boycotted for not having safety equipment and safety personnel on site. If racers ain't gonna police themselves, and racetracks ain't gonna do it, somebody's got to stand up and say the words, "We ain't coming to race there until you get your junk right." I know. Doc's on a rampage. Doc's on a tear. You look at tracks like Huntsville Raceway, Huntsville Speedway over in Huntsville, Alabama, asphalt track. First thing Robbie Edger done when he took over the track, I had him on this show. He said, driver safety is paramount to me. He says, we've got to have the right people in place. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, Robbie, how about this? I know a guy over there in Alabama. His name's Gary McCullough. That's what he does. Robbie said, put me in touch with him. I think I sent the two of them each other's phone numbers that night. The next day, I got a phone call from Gary McCullough telling me that they would be working Huntsville Speedway that year, which is this year. That's the way it's done. If you can't afford, okay, let's look at it this way. If you cannot afford $350 to have a safety team show up at your racetrack with their equipment and work your track, why don't have that safety team come train your guys? Pick you out a bunch of volunteer firemen, or firemen, EMTs, whatever you got. Pick you a team. Get them together some Friday afternoon. Call Gary McCullough. Say, hey, I can't afford you each and every week. It's not in my budget, but could you come train my guys? Tell me what I need to get so that I can have a team like yours. I'm telling you, Gary will be the first one there to help you out. And I'm sure Mr. Steele up in Michigan would do the exact same thing. Because these teams that do this, they don't do this for the money. They do it because they love the sport, and that's what they do. I announce at racetracks. Why? Because I'm okay at it, I'm decent at it, and I love it. I don't make much money. Trust me, I don't. But I do it because I love it. That's what these guys do. They do it because they love it. You know, it breaks my heart when I see racetracks that tell guys like Gary no. You know, I can understand if money is really tight. And I would be willing to bet you that if a racetrack called Gary and said, hey, look, man, I really got a problem with $350 a night, but I want you guys here. Can we work out some kind of deal? Can we do something, some barter, some trade, some swap? Can we do something so that I got you guys here on site every week? You know, you never know until you ask. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that Gary would say, yeah, you know, that we'll work for a discounted rate or we'll do for this or we'll do that. But I'm telling you, these guys that do this, they don't do this because they get rich doing it. Nobody risks their lives. Nobody stands there in damn 7 layers of flame retardant material for 10 or 12 hours for the money. They do it because they love it. More racetracks need to get these people on board. I'm telling you. All right. I'm going to wrap that rant up. And it's really and truly, it's just something that's near and dear to my heart. And I think there's a whole lot to it that we really need to get into, but we will do what we can with what we've got for as long as we can. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to have Mr. Austin Manzella, young man who was on a tear Saturday night. He was looking good. I watched the video, and he was rocking and rolling. He had that car moving until his little mishap. But we're going to talk to him, and we're going to talk to him about some safety things and some other projects that he's got going on as well now that his race car is up in smoke. We'll see what he's going to be doing. But I'm telling you, man, you know, if nothing else, tell you what, all of you that do, drop down and hit your knees in prayer. Pray that these racetracks will get the wisdom and the guidance to do what's right for our race car drivers. We've got to protect these guys. We've got to. Saturday night at Bakersfield Speedway could have been a major, major ordeal. It could have been another Charlie Floyd. But thank God that it wasn't. So let's watch out for these guys. And if you see a safety crew around at your racetrack, walk up and shake their hand. Buy them a hot dog. Buy them a soft drink. Tell them you appreciate what they do. Because it's not a job that just anybody can do. All right. We're going to step out and take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll have Austin with us, and we're going to hang out with him and talk a little racing and find out what he's got going on. So don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend.
My brother.
My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that help me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Racing is all about winning. But hey, the second place guy has family too, getting you all the results from your favorite racetracks. Now back to the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor.
All right, welcome back. Joining me right now on the show, young man who has been racing since the age of 6. Started out in junior sprints, running at Plaza Park Raceway and Lemoore Raceway. Raced hobby stocks at Bakersfield and Keller Auto Speedway. 9 times in an IMCA Sport Mod with 4 podium finishes. Young man is going to school at Montana Tech, majoring in petroleum engineering, and expects to graduate this fall. Joining me right now, driver out of Southern California, Mr. Austin Manzella. Austin, how you doing tonight, buddy? Hello, Austin.
You there?
Yeah, there you are. There you are. We found you.
Okay.
All right.
I'm doing pretty good
tonight.
How are you?
I'm finding a frog hair split 3 ways and sanded.
That's good.
Yeah. Now, we have been talking. I don't know if you've got to listen to the first part of the show, but I have stepped down off my soapbox, and I had I got a little heated. I had to turn the air conditioner on. Things got a little hot in here, me talking about safety, but it wasn't nowhere near as hot as it was for you Saturday night. Tell us a little bit about what happened in the video that has covered Facebook the past 2 days.
Well, I led like 16 laps of the race on Saturday night and got passed by the guy who ended up crashing with me. Well, his rear end, we're guessing, locked up, and when it locked up, it started leaking oil or some sort of fluid on the track that made it really slick entering the corner. Well, when he locked up his rear end, he ended up hitting the wall, and his car came to a complete stop. At the point that I saw he was at a complete stop, I was already entering the corner, and I got on the brakes, and when I got on the brakes, I hit the slick spot and slid sideways into him. Well, when I slid in sideways, my T-bar holding my decking punctured his fuel cell and immediately dumping fuel all down my decking and into my car. So that's when the cars both went up in a blaze of fire, and we started having to panic and get out of our cars.
Now, Austin, when you got out, I mean, it showed it in the video. When you got out, you got out pretty quick and hit the ground, but you got up and you took off running.
Right. Well, when I got out of the car, I realized that I actually kind of took a moment, laid down because I knew I was hurting slightly. I laid down, tried to compose myself for a minute. I looked over and I saw the cars were getting into a bigger blaze. Well, at that point, I realized no one was moving around but one person with one fire extinguisher, and that one person was shooting it from maybe 10 yards away from the fire and shooting it straight at the base. Well, one fire extinguisher is not going to put out a 20-gallon fuel cell fire. So I took off running for the water truck, hoping that there might be a way to extinguish the fire by smothering it with a full water truck. Well, it just so happened the water truck was empty.
Now, Austin, I don't say this with any humor at all, but I know that, you lost everything. Your entire racing program sit there burned in front of you. And when you jumped in that water truck, I mean, I'm sure that when you jumped in it, you had a semblance of hope, that maybe I can keep the damage from being so severe. And then when you get over there and you realize that there's no water in it, I bet your world just fell apart, didn't it?
It was a very heartbreaking moment for me, really. I'd spent all of my money that I'd been earning this summer at my job on the car to keep racing, and I was using everything I could to keep running for the summer. And watching that car go up in flame, I knew the second that I started sliding in sideways in there, it was going to be bad, but I didn't realize the extent of the damage. Well, when that fire went up, it was all over at that point because there was nothing to stop that fire after that. So everything was just going to burn down, and there was nothing we could do about it as racers.
But now I'm sitting here looking at the pictures of your car that you posted yesterday, and your steering wheel has the center section of it broke out.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a hit you took.
Yeah, it actually broke off in my hands when that happened. It was hanging on by one little shred of the center section, and when I went to go get out, it still hooked my knee, and I ended up breaking it the rest of the way off, and then proceeding to eject myself out of the car.
Well, I know that we had talked, and one of the things that I got on my soapbox about a while ago was tracks not having the proper equipment at a racetrack to deal with situations like this. I don't know if you've seen the Charlie Floyd video from a couple of months ago when Charlie Floyd lost his life upside down. It was pretty much the same thing. It was a fuel fire. And, there's so many racetracks that have proper equipment. And Huntsville Speedway is the one that comes to mind right here in Alabama. They have Gary McCullough and his crew over there. They have years and years of experience in fighting race fuel fires. And it's not something that just your Joe average fireman is going to experience every day. He's good at fighting fires. I'm not knocking firemen in any way. But a safety crew at a racetrack needs to be specially trained for extrication of drivers in the event that the driver is knocked unconscious or he's injured, in the event of a fire, in the event of some catastrophic injury that they need to get him out. These safety crews need to know how to do this the safest possible way. And race cars are a whole lot different than your street car that you drive back and forth to work in every day, aren't they?
Right. Well, especially being that we're in there by 5-point harnesses in a fully enclosed cockpit, especially in the modifieds where we have decking come all the way up to our eye level, all the way to our elbows. So we're completely encaged in as what might as well be a sprint car, except we're a full-bodied car, so you can't actually get into the driver unless you're at the driver's side window. Well, the part that we got quite lucky on is that in 5th place, we had a very experienced driver behind us named Levi Kiefer. Well, when he saw the wreck happen and it flashed immediately, he was already in the oil at this point. he slid in, and being the experienced driver he decided to put his car into the fence and away from my driver's side door, because had I been hit there by, say, someone sliding in the same way I did, I would have been trapped in my car because I would have been pinned between the two cars, plus my car would have been shoved further under the burning car. So we got quite lucky in the circumstances that there was an experienced driver behind me. So, and then once Levi did hit the wall, he got stuck behind my car, and he looked over and waited until I finally got out of the car and was rolling away. And in the video, you can see him back up after I am free of the car. So that was very fortunate circumstance.
Well, Austin, a lot of drivers, they spend years and years and years. I had a young man, a gentleman named Paul LaPere, on last year, and he works with a lot of guys up in the Montana, Wyoming area with the IMCA guys. He lost his son-in-law to a fire. An IMCA modified flipped over, and the safety valve in the fuel cell malfunctioned, dumped all the fuel out, and his son-in-law perished before they could get him out. Well, he determined that there was no way that he was just going to let that be in vain. So he built a car that he trailers around and takes it to racetracks all over the place. And what he does, it's a modified. He puts you in the car, straps you in, puts the steering wheel on, and then he asks you a question. He said, when you wreck your race car, what position is the race car going to land in? And no driver can answer that question. You don't know. If you flip your car or you wreck your car, you don't know what it's going to land in. So while you're sitting there trying to think of an answer to that question, he starts rotating the car. The car will turn completely upside down. He rolls the car back and forth, both directions, left and right, 3 or 4 times, and then he stops it and he hollers, "Get out." And the challenge is to see how fast you can orientate yourself and then get out. Drivers do not realize how disorienting it is to flip a race car or to be in that panic situation of where if your car is on fire, you've got to get out of it. And if you get in a hurry, if you do something stupid trying to get out, it could cost you your life. Drivers need to practice getting out of their race cars. Have you ever practiced getting in and out of yours?
I did back when I was racing in my sprint car because it was a little more of a regular thing for the sprint cars to roll over. But since I've been racing stock cars, I have not practiced getting in and out of my car.
Well, I would strongly suggest, Austin, that next chance you get, practice it a little bit. It's something that people take for granted, a lot of the things that racers go through each and every day. And, I know drivers are, and I say this because I was one of them for many years. Drivers are some pig-headed fools. I mean, really and truly, inherently, we're a bunch of pig-headed fools because we just want to race. We just want to go fast. But when you have a racetrack, say like Bakersfield Speedway, with no safety equipment at all on hand, drivers are going to have to stand up and say, hey, we can't take this no more.
Right.
Don't you agree?
Well, one of the crazy things is, and I'm not here to bash on one track in particular because any track could have had this situation happen where they didn't have the adequate, proper fire response. But the crazy thing is, as us as racers, when this fire was going on last night, there were 10 of us that started the main event. After the 2 of our cars burned down, the other 8 cars were all sitting there with their cars running, ready to race the rest of the race. There was a pile of aluminum and lead melted off of my car that was completely blocking the race surface, but all of them were ready to go racing right then, even though all the fire extinguishers had been used to try to put out that fire. Everything that they had for response was used on that one crash on Saturday night, and everyone else was still ready to go racing and finish that race. That, as racers, that is our bad. That is our fault that we are not thinking about our own safety.
And that's an interesting point because there is so many people out there that don't look at it that way. They think, well, hell, it's just a big old, it's going to be hot up there where he was parked at. We'll just race through that. They don't think about all the little nuances, the lead, the aluminum, all the debris that would be up there, because you're not going to get it all. I mean, it'd take probably 6 or 7 hours to clean all that up.
Yep, we actually went there today to pick up the car from the track, and all the lead and aluminum were still there. It was such a mess that they had to call the race because it was too much. But had that mess not been there, who knows? They might have tried to finish that race.
Well, I mean, Austin, I can kind of see the point. Racers want to race. And you can't blame them for that. I mean, if that would have been somebody else and you would have been sitting back there in third or fourth spot and you thought you had a car that might go to the front, you would have been wanting to race too. But you have to put yourself in those positions to where you've got to start learning to look at the safety issues that you face every time you race. I mean, you put a helmet on, you put a fire suit on, you put a head and neck restraint system on, hopefully. You put your safety belts on. You've got a specially built seat. You've taken all these precautions. Why stop there?
Right.
Look at what you're putting. I mean, Gary McCullough said, my buddy with Track Pro Safety Team, he said it best a couple of years ago on my show, and I'll never, ever forget it. He said, Doc, he said, when you go home at night, and you come home from the races and you pick up your child, he said, because he knows that I've got 3 little ones at my house. He said, you pick up one of them little kids. He said, and you hug them and you hold them and you give them a big kiss. He said, think about it. He said, you go to a racetrack without gloves and a fire breaks out and it burns your hands. He said, think about the flesh sitting there melting and burning from your fingers. He said, then think about going home and how it's going to feel to pick one of those little kids up. And that right there has really, really, that really hit home to me. I mean, I've never raced without gloves, but that really hit home to me. And I was at Boyd Speedway right here close to me a couple of weeks ago, announcing up there. And I got to talking to a driver who listens to the show regularly. I won't mention his name. And he said, Doc, he said, I listened to that show with you and Gary McCullough. He said, and y'all were talking about gloves. He said, I've been racing for 22 years. He said, I have never, ever put a pair of gloves on in my life. He said, but I listened to that show. He said, and I remember hearing him say the flesh melting off your fingers. He said, and I thought about that. He said, I thought about that for a week. He said, one Saturday afternoon, we wasn't racing that week. He said, my granddaughter came over. He said, and I picked her up. He said, and as I picked her up, he said, tears came to my eyes. He said, because I thought about what Gary said. And I thought about what he said about the flesh burning from my fingers. He said, I turned right around and ordered a brand new pair of gloves. He said, I will not get in a race car without a pair of gloves for the rest of my life. And I thought, that right there is what it's all about. If I save one driver pays attention and takes something away from my show, then all the years that I've been doing this show, all the hard work that I put into it that nobody knows about, that I'm not looking for fame or glory on that, but I'm just saying all the hard work that I put into it is worth it if one driver takes something away from one of my shows.
I completely agree, especially with the incident happening last night. I realized that I was not taking my own safety when I was racing, being that I raced without a fire restraint or a fire prevention system, fire suppression system. I had none of that on my car. Or the fact that if we had placed a 1/4-inch plate of steel behind that gas tank on our modifieds, if that was, say, a rule that everyone had to run a 1/4-inch plate, this sort of incident would have never happened. The safety on these cars really needs to be possibly re-looked at on the size of the gas tanks inside of our sport mods, being that we're running on pump fuel a lot of times or race fuel, and we only use maybe 3 to 5 gallons, maybe a little bit more over the course of one main event. Why are we having a 20-gallon fuel cell, a 30-gallon fuel cell inside of our cars? Because when a wreck like this does end up happening, where is all that fuel going to go? Onto the cars or into the fire?
That's
so
right.
There's a lot of safety things that I did not think about beforehand, and I'm trying to help make apparent for the racers to try to get better for the future and try to improve their cars and improve their safety. So
I agree. Well, Austin,
that's what I'm trying to take
hold
from this
tight,
wreck.
sit with me for just a second. We're going to step out, take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back and I'll let you finish that train of thought, and then we'll jump into some other things too. So don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker, and my special guest, Austin Manzella. We'll be back here in just a minute, right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Covering the entire field from the back markers to the race winner every weekend. It's the Monday Night Results Show, the internet's only racing results show. Now back to the doctor.
All right, welcome back now, Austin. Real quick, I have as a lot of people know, I leave my Facebook page open during the show, and I get messages all during the night. And, Gary McCullough with Track Pro Safety Team sent me a message, and he said that he wanted to let you know that Track Pro and him were tickled to death that you're safe and that you were able to get out, and that they admire your honesty in evaluating yourself, saying that you wasn't prepared as you should have been. And they said kudos to you from the Track Pro Safety Team. So I've passed that on.
Yeah, thank you on that. I've been getting a good response on the fact from the racing community as a whole that I'm trying to bring all the attention to this as I can of what we were doing wrong and how we can fix this. And I'm glad about this response.
Well, Austin, you mentioned a couple of things there a while ago about safety plates, behind the fuel cell and around the fuel cell. And one of the things that, now I'm not trying to take credit for this or nothing. One of the problems we had down here in the Southeast with late models and crates and limited late models, the jig chassis, super late models, we had a couple of drivers get injured from T-bars and fender bracing coming in through the driver's door. So what a bunch of us started doing, we took 11 gauge steel plate and welded it to the outside of the roll cage, but in between the body and the roll cage of the driver's door, welded it straight to the roll cage and just plated the outside of that so that it protected the driver a little bit more. I don't think we've ever had an issue with fuel cells really getting punctured being a thing with us as far as the late models and the crates guys goes. But what you were saying was improving the can that the fuel cell sits in. I think that's a great idea to be able to protect it all the way around and on the bottom. God forbid the car ever get upside down and somebody slide in. You put a piece of 1/4-inch plate on there and seal that up. That would probably go a long way in protecting that fuel cell a whole lot better than it does now.
Right, and well, the thing is that a 1/4-inch plate of steel, as people are thinking about, because the fuel cell we normally mount them in the modified, it's quite far behind the rear end. That's a lot of swinging weight when you're setting up your car.
Yep.
Well, I could see why people are afraid of having a heavy-duty fuel cell. And I'm not advocating to put in a very heavy fuel cell. I'm just talking about putting like a single plate behind the fuel cell, because that might be 15, 20 pounds of steel there, and that will prevent that from happening. You got to remember that there's a lot of modified wrecks where a car will be stopped straight and a car might slide in sideways. Well, on our modifieds, we have 3 T-bars that go down the side to hold the decking. That's 3 different shots at that fuel cell if you hit hard enough. And we were going full speed, or I was going full speed when I hit a dead stopped car, which was why that happened. And my front T-bar is what pierces fuel cell. Now that 1/4-inch plate of steel would have stopped that. And so that's something that we will be putting on our own cars. Now, talking about on the driver's side door bars, our tracks here in California have already required that, and every car goes through tech, and if they do not have that plate on their door, we are not allowed to race with that. And these are all good safety features that are things that we should always be thinking about, trying to improve and make the racing more safe for us.
Yeah, I agree. And you mentioned the pendulum weight or the swinging weight of having the heavy fuel can behind the rear end. Some people don't understand that, and that tickles me that you do. That's one of my chassis setup secrets, is eliminating swing weight or pendulum weight. But one thing, and like you were saying, there's no reason if you're running, on a normal night, if you're only burning 4 or 5 gallons of fuel, why run a 20 or 25 gallon fuel cell? If you're running a super late model and you're running a 50 or 100 lapper, I can see the big fuel cells. But, if you shrink the size of the fuel cell, then there comes, 6.7 gallons or 6.7 pounds per gallon on fuel. And, that gets you down there. You could shrink the fuel cell to 10 gallons and put 1/4-inch plate all the way around it, and your weight's going to be right about the same.
Right. And the thing is I had a Harris chassis, and on the Harris chassis, they come stock with a 32-gallon fuel cell on these sport mods. What is the point of having a 32-gallon fuel cell on the sport mod if we're running pump fuel out of these crates? It's just a lot of swing weight, and if a fuel cell were to be punctured like that, it would cause a horrible mess. And that's basically what we were seeing, because the car that I punctured had a 20-gallon fuel cell, 22-gallon fuel cell or something like that, and that whole thing drained out and burnt on our cars.
And, the thing that gets me is you see a lot of drivers using their fuel as ballast. It's like, oh, well, hey, let's just put 4 more gallons in there and That's like bolting lead on. We just don't have to bolt it on there. People need to start thinking about things like that. I mean, it's just the little things. But I want to move on to the other thing that you and I talked about last night, about this other track that you've been working with, Kern Raceway.
Right. There's a new track here in Bakersfield and in Kern County called Kern Raceway Park. At Kern Raceway Park, there is an asphalt half mile, there's a dirt third mile, and then there's a motocross track. At this facility, they are NASCAR sanctioned when it comes to asphalt. Well, on that, the asphalt safety crew has, I think, 8 members on a normal night that are in full FR gear with a truck that has the foaming. I couldn't tell you the exact size and specs on it, but I know they have the foaming tank on the back of one of their safety trucks. And all of them are always equipped to pull someone out. Each one of the safety crew have cutters that can cut not only the bar of the window net, but can cut the seatbelts to pull a driver out if the seatbelts were to, say, be melted to them in a fire. Just in that alone, our new track is very well equipped to pull drivers out when a fire happens like that. And that same safety crew is always at our dirt track when our dirt track runs. So that is something that we want to bring forth and try to mandate as a regular safety precaution, is to have a safety fire crew that is there ready to pull a driver out. Not quite put out the fire, because sometimes fires may end up being too big for a track to handle, but at least have someone on hand to pull someone out of the fire and not be stuck in there without any help.
Well, if nothing else, to throw down fire suppression for the safety crew to pull the driver out.
Right. It doesn't, you don't have, yes, I understand some things can be too big. In the case of our fire really was too big to handle very quickly. Now, had they been a little better equipped, someone could have been there to help us to block the fire from actually reaching the cockpit for me to have more time to get out. Or someone be there to actually help pull me out. But in the case of the track on Saturday night, there was no one there in FR suits to go there and help pull us out and get us away from the burning cars. We were solely relying on ourselves and the fact that we were uninjured to get out of those cars.
I'm sitting here, Austin. I'm sitting here looking at the picture of your car, and the one thing that just keeps jumping out at me is the fact that your seat is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Your seat melted.
Right. And that is mainly because the way that I slid under his car, the fuel was leaking straight onto my decking, which came across and into my cockpit. I got out fast enough that the flames were just reaching my helmet, and I didn't get burnt at all. The only thing that happened is my helmet is slightly singed, and all the tear-offs are melted on the right side. But overall, I was unburned. But that fuel sat there for, I think it was a 7.5-minute flame. For those 7.5 minutes, it was burning straight in the center of my car, and there is no seat left. That was an ultra-sealed full containment seat, and I'm very glad to have had that in my car, because if I did not have a seat like that in there, I probably would have been injured from the initial impact and not been able to climb out and get out of the car for myself.
Yep. Well, if when you put your next car together, let me know. We got connections with the Joy of Seating. Jason Babchick, one of the guys down there at the Joys of Seating, Randy LaJoy, they do custom containment seats. They're pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here looking at some of these pictures. I mean, it amazes me, the way that worked out. But tell us a little bit more about Kern Raceway. Is this a new facility that's just been put together, or has this been around for a while? Or
the facility, we had an old asphalt track here called Mesa Moran. Well, that got shut down by certain housing projects back in, I think, 2006, 2007 time period. Well, when that got shut down, they immediately started the paperwork process of building this new track, Kern Raceway. Well, when the crash happened in 2008 and all the housing markets went down, all progress got stopped on that. Well, I want to say it was back in like 2012 or no, it's probably more like 2011. They restarted the process, and a few new financial backers came in, and they finished the track. Well, in the recent years, they've been running, I think, 3 full seasons, and this is the 4th season, I want to say, of this asphalt track, and the dirt track was just built last year. All of our facilities are state-of-the-art. It is a super clean and nice facility, very well-maintained, beautiful racetrack, and it is a great time, honestly. It's a really good time. We often race Friday nights at the dirt track and then have Saturday night asphalt races.
So they're all right there together. I mean, in the same complex.
Right. One way to look at it is like Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's kind of sort of the same deal where they're all right in almost walking distance of each other.
Oh, okay. Well, years ago, and I'm dating myself telling this, but I think it was 77, 78. There was a place in Midland, Odessa, Texas. Some of my Texas listeners may correct me on this. There was 2 racetracks that were side by side. I mean, literally side by side. You could sit in the grandstands of one. If you sat on the top row, you could turn around and watch the racing at the other track. 2 racetracks running side by side on the same night. That was insane. We went through there when the CRA done the Midwest Swing with the sprint cars back in the 70s and the early 80s. And we went through there and we stopped and watched the races that night. That was pretty cool. Just seeing that, I just thought I'd throw that in there. But now you talked about the safety equipment and the preparation that these guys at Kern Raceway have put together. Now, when do they run a full schedule? I mean, do they run every weekend?
At this point, our dirt track, we are in our first full season. There were a couple races raced at the beginning of the year as a winter series, and I think 1 or 2 races raced last year, but this is our first full season at the dirt track. And we're only running about 2 nights out of each month, but the asphalt track races 3 weekends a month, every month, and they're running full season regular races.
So you're getting a good car count at both tracks?
They're decent car counts for what it is. There hasn't been much asphalt racing here in Kern County in the most recent years, so we're trying to build the car counts back up. But for the dirt track, we're getting very comparable car counts to the already established Bakersfield Speedway here in Bakersfield, California.
Well, hey, man, I'll tell you what, we're about out of time in this segment. Austin, I want to thank you so much for coming on and telling your story. And most of all, I want to thank you for being honest enough to admit that, your safety program needs some work and that you're looking at that and you're directing your attention to that in the future. And man, best of luck to you, and keep us posted here on the Monday Night Results Show.
All righty. Thank you for having me.
All right. Austin Manzella out of Bakersfield, California, out there. Maybe if I go out there for the Ascot reunion this year, well, no, I'm not going to get to go. I was going to say I might slide up there to Bakersfield and check out Kern Raceway. But it is what it is. Good racers, good things happen to them. This man has lost everything. And you look at the pictures that we've got posted on my page and on the show's page. This man lost everything. And hopefully he'll be getting everything back together, maybe start him a GoFundMe. If he does, I will be sharing that, and we will be letting everybody know how they can help out a young man who is pointed in the right direction. And hopefully we'll get back out there and get to racing again real soon. But watching him wheel that car in the video that I watched yesterday, I don't think he'll be out of a ride very long. Boy's a wheel man, and I think he's got good things in his future. Plus, going into petroleum engineering, it won't be long. We'll be seeing his name again at the top of the results sheet. And speaking of results, I do have some results. I just wanted to get a lot of the safety stuff out of the way and get everybody up to date on that. We're going to talk about Sterling Marlin. He had a little altercation up at Nashville Fairgrounds this weekend. We're going to be talking a little bit about that too. But we'll come back, get some results in, talk a little bit about Sterling, and I'm going to stay off NASCAR this week. So everyone, sit tight. Don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, Recording Artists Against Drunk Driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
You've got it locked to the Monday Night Results Show. Actual evidence that the math you learned in high school can be useful. Now back to the doctor.
All right, welcome back. We've got a special veteran shout out this week. We're going to go ahead and get that one out of the way. Not that it's in the way, but we like to keep our veterans happy, and it's our pleasure to get to share that with them. And if I could get my stupid computer to cooperate, okay, we will hold off on the veterans results, and we will go to Columbia, South Carolina, over there, Winchester Speedway, this past Saturday night, Cherokee Speedway, I'm sorry, in the SECA late models. It's unofficial, pending tire protest. We are still waiting on those results, but as it is right now, Jeff Smith in the 00 takes the win. Dylan Brown was second. Trent Ivey was third. Zach Mitchell was fourth. Leighton Sullivan was fifth. John Ruggiero Jr. was sixth. Spencer Apple was seventh. Cruz Skinner was eighth. Greg Pilgrim was ninth. Kelly Fedger was 10th. Rick, let me get this right here. Rick Kukin was 11th. Jacob Brown was 12th. Larry Gruby was 13th. Travis Leake was 14th. Chastain Blackwell was 15th. And Bradley Silvers rounded out the 16-car field. Eddie Baggs, Brian Carswell, Adam Yarborough, Matt Long, Wesley Cadwallader, and Anna Parkhurst did not start. Okay. In the SECA's Crate Sportsman's, it was Mitchell Duval taking the win over Ricky Green. Andy Blackwood was third. Randy Cantrell was fourth. Jacob Cateau was 5th. Cade Langley was 6th. Aaron Harris was 7th. John Mulwee was 8th. John Hellmans was 9th. Mark Ledford was 10th. And Johnny Westmoreland rounded out the 11-car field. In the stocks up at Cherokee Speedway, the Mechanical Edge stocks, it was Kevin Cooper taking the win over Braden Pruitt. Nick Walker, no relation, was 3rd. Tack Brown was 4th. Hunter Williams was 5th. Cody Lambert was 6th. Luke Fox was 7th. Shannon Etheridge was 8th. And Ralph Holcomb rounded out the 9-car field. In the Lucas Oil late models over at Cherokee, it was Black Sunshine. Scott Bloomquist taking the win. Casey Roberts was 2nd. Johnny Persley was 3rd. Brandon Shepard was 4th. Jonathan Davenport, the Superman, he was 5th. Brett Ham was 6th. Dennis Erb was 7th. Steve, the Kentucky Colonel Francis, was 8th. Fergie Time, Chris Ferguson was 9th. Don, the Real Deal O'Neill, was 10th. Tim McCready was 11th. Anthony Sanders was 12th. Darrell Lanigan was 13th. Donald Brasher was 14th. Ross Bales was 15th. The Nightmare, Newport Nightmare, Jimmy Owens was 16th. Colton Flinner was 17th. Doug Sanders was 18th. Jared Landers was 19th. G.R. Smith was 20th. Chris Madden, after the crash that he took, he was 21st. Dennis Franklin was 22nd. Josh Langley was 23rd. And Earl Pearson was 24th. Rumor has it that Darrell Lanigan, after the races, stopped by McDonald's and they wouldn't let him order his food at the drive-thru. He walked up to the window because the toter home wouldn't fit through the drive-thru, and they wouldn't let him order his food. And I hear that Mike Knuckles from Warrior sat there at Chili's next door and wouldn't even go out there and get him nothing to eat, or wouldn't even go out there and let him use his car to go through the drive-thru. But, you got to watch that. I'm surprised they didn't unload the race car and go on out there. But when you go through McDonald's, you got to go through the right way. You can't just go bebopping in there any old way you want to. All right, let's see here. Sportsman feature up at having a Fairbury, Illinois. Fairbury American Legion Speedway. This is our veterans shout out. If my stupid computer will stop working and do like it's supposed to, I'm having serious computer issues tonight. Come on, sometime today. Well, we will jump over and talk about Sterling Marlin. Sterling Marlin took a late model up to Nashville Fairgrounds this weekend, led almost every single lap, and gets out there, comes through Tech, and Ricky Brooks, the same one that DQs everybody down at Pensacola and all over the Southeast, he shows up, whistles his motor, said, nope, not legal, and DQs Sterling Marlin. Now, I know that there is a lot of people out there that don't like that, but he said his compression was 10.1 to 1 instead of 10.0 to 1. And that's what got him the DQ. Sterling is hot. He is mad. He said that he got screwed, and he don't know if he'll ever go back to Nashville Fairgrounds. Since that is Sterling's home track and that's where he got his start, I really don't know if that will work. All right. Fairbury Speedway, a regular night of racing. This veteran shout out goes out to Staff Sergeant Jason Wycliffe. He is stationed in Okinawa, Japan. Staff Sergeant Wycliffe, for all you do, thank you, sir. These veterans' results are for you. In the sportsman feature, Fairbury American Legion Speedway, it was Richie Rich taking the win. Lake Nicholas was second. Richard Craven was third. Brian Frecci was fourth. Troy Medley was fifth. Steve Mattingly was 6th. Anthony Craven was 7th. Tim Dick was 8th. Brandon Prell was 9th. Amber Crouch was 10th. Chris Sotia was 11th. Scott Williams was 12th. Blake Reed was 13th. And Tyler Roth rounded out the 14-car field, and that was the sportsman feature. In the mod hobby division up at Fairbury Speedway, Fairbury, Illinois, right there. Boy, if you've never been to Fairbury, it is a tight little racetrack, just a little bit bigger than a quarter mile around the football field. But they put on a show up there. In the mod hobby division, it was Mason Duncan taking the win over Mike Peterson. Tim McGuire was 3rd. Macy Vaughn was 4th. Mackenzie Siemens was 5th. Brendan Patterson was 6th. Thad Gee was 7th. Brandon Post rounded out the 8-car field. In the mod lights, or the modified feature up at Fairbury, it was Mike McKinney taking the win over Lance Deem. Jay Ledford was 3rd. Jeff Curl was 4th. Nicholas Clubb was 5th. Stephen Brooks was 6th. 7th was Jeffrey Ledford. Travis Kohler was 8th. Nick Luth was 9th. Dustin Mounts was 10th. Michael Mennel was 11th. Corey Maurice was 12th. Tommy Duncan was 13th. Ralph Schneider was 14th. Jeff Winterland was 15th. Darren Christensen was 16th. Chris Gaither was 17th. Joe Gillespie was 18th. And Alex Graff was 19th. Oh, sorry about that. Now, let's go back in the late model feature up at Fairbury. Anybody got a computer hammer? Let me hit this thing. All right. Late model feature, Fairbury Speedway. In our veterans results for tonight, taking the win was Joe Harlan. Derek Chandler was 2nd. Scott Bull was 3rd. Mike Spicota was 4th. Steve Thornton was 5th. Dan Fleschner was 6th. Nick Kurtz was 7th. Alan Murray was 8th. Jay Morris was 9th. John Gardner Jr. was 10th. Mike Mulvane was 11th. Cole Swybold was 12th. Glenn Thompson was 13th. 14th was Bill Ho. John Picato Jr. was 15th. Brian Locke was 16th. McKay Wenger was 17th. Kevin Weaver was 18th. Snooky Diem was 19th. John Small was 20th. And Alan Stipp rounded out the 21-car field. And those results go out to Staff Sergeant Jason Wycliffe, stationed in Okinawa, Japan. He said that he loves the way we're doing the YouTube. For those of you that don't know, I have started posting my old shows on YouTube. I'm trying to get some of the older shows up, but it's for a computer illiterate fool like me. Sometimes it's a daunting task, but we will get more up as we can, and we will get tonight's show up as quick as we can, because I hear a lot of California people are having problems downloading the app. That's why I told everybody, download it early. Don't wait till the last minute. Download it, set your alarm, and that way you never miss the Monday Night Results show. All right. I got to watch a special trailer, a sneak preview earlier today of a movie who we had the producer come on last year, early in the year. His name was Keith Harris. He acts in the movie. He's an actor in the movie. He's also one of the producers. The name of the movie is Shifting Gears. This is a movie about dirt track racing and a family that falls on hard times. Dad gets laid off. Same day he gets laid off, he gets a phone call that his dad dies. And the next day he gets a letter in the mail that his dad had left him a gas station that had been closed. And he comes back. In order to save the gas station, he turns his son loose racing. And a lot of the footage of this was all filmed during the races over at Cherokee Speedway. And I'm pretty sure it was Cherokee. I know they used a couple of tracks, but that's where the majority of it was taking place. We are working on getting a release date. As soon as we do, I will share it with everyone. This looks like it's going to be a good movie. As far as actors, I'm not a big movie buff. I don't know none of the actors, but I did recognize a lot of the faces that are in the movie. So this is not some B-roll movie that's just, one of those da-da-da-da. This is a legit film that's, I'm telling you, it is going to be something that's going to be a good movie. So we will keep you updated on it. But the reason I brought this up, another thing, there is a lot of media that is paying attention to dirt tracking. Last year, it was L.A. Dirt. Cody McCarver, his song "Let's Get Dirty." I think we played that on the show. One of the few songs that we've ever played on the Monday night show. That video was filmed in southern Alabama. That's where the L.A. lower Alabama, L.A. Dirt. That film is due for release this summer. So we're going to have 2 dirt track racing movies coming out this summer. That is something that you could use to your advantage. Think about this. The big screens are going to be plastered with movies about racing. That is going to bring the attention and the interest back to racing. Now, yeah, some of the movies that they make are kind of hokey. A true dirt track fan will look at the movie and go, hey, that ain't right. Well, that right there ain't right, or that ain't right. You'll pick it apart. And that's just the way racers are. But the average fan's going to go see the movie. They're going to go, hey, that looks cool. I like that. Let's go watch the races over at such and such racetrack. In comes new sponsors. In comes more attention. Now is the time to get your program up to snuff and professional looking. Think about it. Get ahead of the curve. The name of the game in racing has always been do what the other guys are not. Well, don't wait till the last minute. A lot of guys are already starting to plan for next year, this year. And here is a good opportunity to get your program, get your proposal for sponsorship, make it as professional as you can. Get somebody to help you. Get somebody that does that kind of thing. Tell them, say, hey, I'll give you some ad space on the car for your company. Help me out a little bit, and I'll help you out. That's the way racers work. Racers helping racers. Now is a good time to be looking towards new sponsors in the coming months. Everybody could use a sponsor. Everybody could use a little bit of help. A new set of a new oil change every week would free up some cash for you. A new set of tires every now and then would free up some money that you could spend on something else, like safety equipment. Just keep it in mind and remember that the doctor told you about it. Speaking of safety equipment, if you have not joined the Safety Equipment Exchange, please do so. It don't cost a thing. The price is right. Head on over. Just go up there in the little search bar where it says search Facebook. Slide up there and search Safety Equipment Exchange. Use spell check if you have to. Safety Equipment Exchange. It's a good place to share some equipment if you want to get rid of some. If you got a sponsor that loves you to death and puts you in the best stuff year after year, pass your old stuff on to the up-and-coming guy that can't afford all the big high-dollar stuff. Help them out. Racers helping racers. That's the way we believe here on the Monday Night Show. And I think it's a good thing, and I think it's something that everybody needs to be a part of. Just read the pin note at the top of the page. It explains it all. And join up. You hit the join button. We will have somebody, all the administrators that we've got, we will have them in there, and they will get you logged in and get you accepted. We had to do it that way so we didn't have people selling sunglasses. You know how that stuff goes. But tell you what, everyone sit tight. We're going to step out and take a quick commercial break here in just a second. But keep in mind, sponsors, movies, attention. You heard it here on the Monday Night Results Show. So just mark that down that I told you about it. All right, we're going to step out and take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and get some more results and some more news, and we got all kinds of stuff. Don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
This is Paul Stanley from KISS for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsport. Performance Motorsports Network.
This is Joey Logano, driver of NASCAR number 22 Discount Tire Car. You know something? You and I aren't all that different. I drive a car, you drive a car. My car has tires, your car has tires. I may be going just a little faster than you each weekend, but we both need to keep those tires properly inflated to stay safe. So be tire smart and do your part. Check your tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit betiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
Flag-to-flag coverage? We don't need no stinking flag-to-flag coverage. The results, and nothing but the results. Now back to the doctor.
All right, welcome back. You know, I was sitting here answering messages, and I did misspeak earlier. His name is Jake Steele, not Jason Steele, with the Kalamazoo team up there in Michigan. We are working real hard to get him on for next week, and I am in the process of trying to get him and my buddy Gary McCullough teamed up together. I just think it's really cool when we get a lot of people that jump in there and really chip in to bring safety to the forefront. There is so much that gets left out. You know, some of the things that Austin was talking about with the modifieds. And I think one of the things that I really admire about him, and I can't say enough about it, was the fact that he owned up to his own mistakes. You know, he said, hey, this made me realize just how lacking I am in some of my safety program. And I think it's something that he was lucky that, or blessed, I'd rather say he was blessed, that, God was watching over him and nothing happened to him Saturday night. But I'm tickled that he realizes it could have been much worse. And he is paying attention to the shortcomings in his safety program, and that he is working to better his safety program moving forward. And, not a lot of people would catch the fact that putting that extra weight back there behind the rear axle, the pendulum effect, as it's called, or swing weight, a lot of people just don't even understand that. But one day they will. When they do, they'll start going fast. But you got to work within the boundaries of what you have to work with. For example, 20-gallon fuel cell. Cut that down to a 10-gallon. Okay, you're going to drop 30 or 40 pounds right there. Put the weight back by making your can that your fuel cell sits in at a 1/4-inch plate instead of 18 gauge or whatever it is, that they're putting fuel cell cans together with nowadays. Put some protection around that thing and make it sturdy. Make it something that's not going to get punctured. Fuel is one of the things that has always scared me the worst. Fire. I've always been scared of fire, especially in a race car. And, after watching the video of Charlie Floyd, a couple of months ago, and us losing Charlie Floyd, that really drove that home to me. And I think it's something that not a lot of people have paid attention to in the past. And I think that one of the things that more people really need to start focusing on is when these little things happen, don't look at it as, oh, that sucks for him. Look at it as something of, what can I take away from that? What can I learn from that will help my program moving forward? And I think it's one of the things that people overlook. And I really wish there was some way that, you could just drill a hole in some of these people's heads. I mean, that's the only way I know to put it, and pour this stuff in. I mean, there is so much safety information that is out there. I mean, there are videos of them doing crash tests, like with the dummies, real live high-speed video and all that. Crash tests of sprint cars. It's out there. I have yet to see one of a late model, but I know NASCAR has done theirs. A lot of their trucks, the Xfinity Series and the Cup teams, have all done crash tests. They're all black box equipped. It's time to use some of this technology that is available today to our advantage, whether it be in fire suppression, whether it be in driver protection. I mean, you look at Randy LaJoie and the joys of seating. And I mean, I'm not just harping on Randy LaJoie. I mean, I'm not promoting him. Any seat manufacturer, Butler Built, Ultra Shield, all these guys make a quality product. I'm not knocking them. But look at the work and the technology that they have put into these seats. Look at the work and the effort that has been put into Hans devices or head and neck restraints. The equipment is there. All you got to do is use it. Yes, I know it costs money. Nothing in this world is free. You're going to go out and spend $50,000 on a motor, but you're going to bitch and moan and groan about a $600 head and neck restraint? You're going to go out and spend $600 or $700 on a wrap for your race car so that you look good, but you're going to bitch about something that protects your life? Where the hell are your priorities at? There comes a time when you got to suck it up and do what's right. And you got to start putting safety at the top of your list. You know, you look at all these chassis manufacturers, Capital Race Cars, Warrior, Kryptonite, GRT, Rayburn, Masterbuilt. All these guys put a lot of thought into protecting the driver. The way they design the roll cages, they try to anticipate damage that will be given to the driver in the event of a crash. And they try to design the car to make the car as safe as physically possible. Now, when these guys put all this work into it, and then you go out there like an idiot and you put on a $69 fire suit and a $19.95 helmet, what is that saying? That's saying you're an idiot and you need your priorities reorganized. We've got to start protecting ourselves. Look at it this way. Racetracks are not going to tech you. Some of them will, some of them won't. It's kind of a hit or miss. Don't rely on the racetrack to make sure that your stuff's right. Check it yourself. If you have any questions about how safety equipment should be mounted or how safety equipment should be used, Safety Equipment Exchange. Post your question. With all the safety advisors that we have as administrators on that page, we will get your questions answered. We have seating experts, we have belt experts, we have fire experts, we have chassis experts. They're all experts in their field, and they're all good at what they do. And they're willing to answer questions. They're willing to step up and tell you what you need to do it right and do it the right way the first time. You know, don't make the mistakes like Austin said he made. You know, he said he realized that there was a lot of things he could have done better or done differently. Stop and evaluate your program. You know, there's a lot of you that sit there in a shop at least one night a week. You don't hit a lick of the snake all night long. You just sit there and gawk at the race car and think, how can I make that thing go faster? Well, how about you take a look at it one night and go, how can I make that thing safer? How can I make that thing safer for me and for those around me? Think about it. Look at it. Be a leader. Don't be a follower. Step up and take the lead. And if your racetrack the track that you race at is not providing the safety equipment that you feel is necessary, tell them, hey, I'm sorry, but we're not coming back. We're going to find another place to race until you get your stuff right. The events that took place at Bakersfield Speedway Saturday night are unacceptable. Unacceptable. You can't expect 2 fire extinguishers and an empty water truck to put out a fire like they had Saturday night. Something has got to be done to stop these racetracks from operating like this. And the only way it's going to happen, guess what? You're going to have to do something. You're going to have to stand up and take a stand and say, hey, I'm sorry, I love this racetrack, but I'm not going to race here no more until y'all get some equipment on hand to battle situations like this. We could be talking about Adam Manzella's demise tonight. If it hadn't been for some quick thinking, like he said, by the other driver who come running in there and seen it and stuck his car in the wall rather than hit Adam in the door. It's racers helping racers. And that's what we got to do. We got to help each other. And I know some of you get tired of hearing me preach on it and jump up and down on it. Like I told Austin a while ago, if I can get one driver, if I can make a difference in one driver's life, all the work and effort that I put into this show every week is worth it. It's worth it. And for those of you that somebody just asked me a question a little bit ago on Facebook. They said, "What does that show pay?" I'm gonna bust your bubble right now. It don't pay me a dime. Okay? I do this because I love the sport. And I spend a lot of time getting ready for these 2 hours every Monday night. I try to bring you interesting guests. If you got a guest, somebody you want to hear on the show, let me know. We'll see if we can line it up. If you got a topic that you want me to talk about, let me know. We'll see what we can do. Laura Householder mentioned safety yesterday. We got on the subject. Presto. Tonight we had a safety show. Next week it may be cheats. You know, I mean, we may have to do a show one night about online racing, iRacing, or R Factor or something. You know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that we're willing to bring you and put it all together so that you, the racer, can get out there and get in touch with each other. Get on each other's butt about safety. You go to your buddy's house and you look and see that his junk ain't right, call him out. Say, "Hey man, that ain't the way you mount belts. Hey, that ain't the way you mount a seat." Show him. I would rather you stand there and ridicule him and tease him for 20 or 30 minutes while you're doing it. I would rather you do that than have to go see him at the funeral home. That's the true basis of it. And I just want you to understand that we can't do this week in and week out and there not be dangers. Dangers are going to happen. It's inevitable. So be prepared. The 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And the KISS theory. Keep it simple, stupid. You know, those are things to live by. Keep them in mind. Prevent all your stupid things that you do safety-wise. Eliminate all that crap. Fix it right. Do it right. I think it's something that more people really should look at. And I challenge each and every one of you to give your car a safety overhaul and a safety evaluation in the next week. Look at it. If you find something wrong, send me a message. Let me know. Tell me that you found something wrong or something that you want to improve on in the near future. And hit us up on the Facebook Safety Equipment Exchange. Slide on over there and hit the like button, join up. And while you're doing the like button thing, slide on over to Performance Motorsports Network, hit the like button over there. And the Monday Night Results Show. Hit all of them. Get them all. And if you're not a friend of mine on Facebook, Mitch Walker, I'm the only one in Dalton, Georgia. Feel free to send me a friend's request, and we'll get you on the list where you find out all the good stuff when it comes along. Now, as we have done many times, it's about time to get on out of here. A lot of words to live by, but 2 of them that I want you to remember. Racers helping racers. Keep that in mind. And there's another one that I just heard recently, thanks to my buddy Doug Briney. It's in one of his songs, and you can look it up on YouTube. I know I can't change the whole world, but I can touch just one life. And I hope that somehow with our safety shows, we touched yours. Everyone have a safe week. Go racing somewhere this weekend. It's been a ball. We'll do it again all over next week. Have a safe one, everybody. My name's Mitch Walker. They call me the doctor, and we'll see you next week exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network. See ya!
Y'all ready for this?
The Monday Night Results Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either PMN or Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., the advertisers, or the marketing partners. If you would like to hear the results from your local track, or you are a track owner or a promoter and want us to cover your venue, give us a call during normal business hours, 717-749-0444. IM us on our Facebook page or email us at performancemotorsportsnetwork@gmail.com. Be listening again next week as we are talking results on the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor. For the Monday Night Results Show, I'm Big Mike.